Hi, my name is Haley Madden, and I am very thankful to have read the book of Learning and Forgetting by Frank Smith. It has opened my eyes to many impractical teaching methods still in place in our educational systems. Overall, I think this book has made me a better, more observant teacher and learner. So here's what this book is really about. It puts into question the official theory of learning and gives a brief history of its implementation in today's classrooms. Rote memorization, effort-based learning, and high-stakes testing are among the many highly criticized pedagogical methods commonly imposed on students in classrooms throughout the U.S. Frank Smith suggests a better method of learning, one where students are engaged and material is effortless to acquire. The classical theory of learning highlights students' capabilities to obtain information naturally within the ZPD and encourages educators to focus on what students can do for themselves instead of pointing out what they can't. Overall, the five major points that really resonated with me are the classical view versus the official theory of learning. I believe this is just one of the central themes of the book and really calls into question how efficiently our current learning methods are. Another major point of this book is the fact that we learn from our communities. We're constantly acquiring information from those whom we surround ourselves with and learning about our identities within certain groups as well. We also acquire knowledge and language naturally. True learning doesn't require great effort and should never be frustrating for our students. Another point this book was excellent at teaching is the history of how the official theory of learning began. I have a much better understanding of how our current learning practices were put into place. Lastly, another major theme from this book is educating the reader about the classical view of learning. When asked if I would recommend this book, I would definitely say yes. I would highly recommend this book to others in our program and to educators in any field. Although testing and tracking individual student academic levels has been under increasing scrutiny in the past few years, the Book of Learning and Forgetting gives teachers practical, applicable reasons as to how the official theory of learning has infiltrated our educational system and continues to do so. It explains why there's a more efficient and enjoyable way to teach our students and gives examples on how to implement the classical view of learning as a teacher. This book was saturated with wonderful quotes, and it was very difficult to choose only 5. The first quote I chose, I think, sums up the book's overarching theme quite nicely. We learn from the company we keep throughout our lives without effort, without awareness, and with no forgetting. The second quote I chose really made me think of my ESL students and the many different economical situations that they find themselves in. The way we learn doesn't vary according to social and economic circumstances, but what we learn and how easy or difficult it is to learn particular things always varies with circumstances. The next quote resonated with me as a student who attempted to acquire Spanish in college, and even with all the intrinsic motivation in the world, I could never seem to grasp the language. It also made me rethink relying so heavily on sight words, and I began to let my students read more for the sake of reading. They will pick up those words without drilling. Reading and writing should come as effortlessly as the understanding and mastery of speech. The next quote I absolutely loved, and I hope to express this sentiment to many other teachers as well, because when we're learning, we really should be doing. So here's this quote: I would, if I could, propose a radical change to the way we talk about schools. Abolish the words learning and teaching altogether, and talk instead about doing. I chose the last quote as a reminder to myself that I can begin the change I want to see starting right within my own classroom. How might teachers take charge and improve what goes on in schools? I have a simple answer: they must change the world. And when they ask how they could possibly change the world, I have another simple answer: a little bit at a time. I suggest they start within their own classrooms. Questions that surface for me while reading this book are as follows. Now that many more educators are aware of the dangers of the official theory of learning, what will it take to make a lasting change? How much have I personally been impacted by the official theory of learning, and is this apparent in my current instructional methods? Should we encourage students to remember how to spell using certain grammar tips and tricks, or will this simply cause confusion if there are irregularities? These questions may become apparent the more experience I obtain as an educator, and are personal questions I will have to think about for myself and for my students. Overall, I really enjoyed reading this text, and I look forward to learning more about the classical theory of learning. Thanks for watching!